Hey guys, Reese here from Psalm 71:17, and you're watching the book of Genesis in 3 minutes. In the first couple of chapters of the book of Genesis, we find God creating the entire universe in 6 days, creating light on the first day, creating the sky and clouds on the second day, creating land and flowering plants on the third day, creating the sun, moon, stars, and other planets on the fourth day, creating sea creatures and birds on the fifth day, and finally creating animals and man on the sixth. The first man and woman are named Adam and Eve, and they live in a place called the Garden of Eden until they are kicked out for committing the first sin, which was eating of a tree which God told them not to. Chapter 4 goes on to tell us about two of their sons, Cain and Abel. Cain ends up killing his brother out of jealousy, becoming the first murderer. Chapter 5 goes on to tell us the genealogy of Adam all the way down to our next main character, Noah. Chapters 6 through 10 tell us about Noah's deliverance from a global flood, a flood that God sent to show his judgment on sin. Chapter 11 goes on to tell us the origins of language diversity through an event known as the Tower of Babel, in which the people of Shinar tried building a tower that could reach into heaven, but were stopped by God through confusing their languages. Chapter 12 introduces us to our next character, Abraham, at the time known as Abram. Abram is told by God in chapter 15 that his descendants would be as the stars of heaven, despite him not having a child. Abraham and his wife, Sarai, later on to be known as Sarah, went on to have a child named Isaac. In chapter 22, God uses Isaac to confirm Abraham's faith by asking Abraham to sacrifice him, something he almost ends up doing, but is stopped at the last second by an angel. Isaac goes on to have two sons of his own, Jacob and Esau. Jacob goes on to have 12 sons of his own, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. Chapters 37 through the end of the book tell us about Joseph's story in Egypt. Chapter 37 tells us that Joseph is sold into Egyptian slavery by his envious brothers, where he is able to work his way up to position of governor despite being falsely thrown into prison. He is able to predict of a coming famine, a famine that would end up driving his family into Egypt for help. Jacob ends up bringing his entire family to Egypt, and it is there that we learn that those people, then known as the Israelites, begin to flourish. The book ends with the death of Joseph.